But Kirk, I want to come to you because I feel like with Black excellence, with this theme that we're talking about today, people feel like Black excellence has to be directly tied to success. You've been very adamant in the past saying how with a certain level of success comes a certain level of trauma. I want you to kind of dive deep into that, explain why you feel that way, and guys, I get you to chime in as well.
Any level of success also has a certain ingredient of trauma to it. It's because there's a cost to it. There is a emotional, spiritual, physiological cost of the sacrifice that it takes to get it from the dirt. That when people say that they come from the mud, you have no idea that as you begin to peel that off, what the layer of that person really is because the most greatest are always most in the room, the most insecure. It's because you're always having to live your life vulnerable. And, think about it. It takes so much to be able to have a dream and to have the boldness and the wherewithal to even step out there and to even see if the dream comes into something that is really tangible. And so that level of sacrifice and work and vulnerability, not only do you suffer from that and have to sacrifice for that, those connected to your wife, your children, your relatives, because you're gone all the time, you're sleeping. We're dreamers. Dreams wake us up in the middle of the night. Dreams make you get up from the dinner table and say, baby, give me a minute, I gotta put this on my phone. Dreams are disruptive. That's why dreamers are disruptive.
Man, listen, that's Kurt Franklin. Does Kurt have on a tight suit? Cause man, let me tell you, boy, hey, that was hey, come on. That was nothing but fire, brother Kurt. Straight fire. And I love it. And he's right on point. We got a whole generation of folk that think you're going to get the best that God has to offer without sacrifice. How you call yourself a Christian or religious in any sense when God sacrificed his son? If God is willing to give up his only begotten for you to skirt around the difficulty of spiritual evolution, so you can have unconditional love without healing the pattern that made you, without disrupting the pattern. He said creators are disruptors. In order for you to create your spiritual maturity, i.e. spiritual adulthood, you got to disrupt the pattern that gave birth to you. I'm not here to appease, to coddle, to love on, to nurture, to empathize with your insecurities. I'm not. If you get it, it's great. It's cool if you get it. But you got to stop being dependent upon it as if that is the marker of a good person. Listen to what you're saying. Only a good person, only a person that is giving to my wounds can be considered good, can be considered the right one. I'm not an insecurity butler. Do you understand? God sends certain people in your life to disrupt your damn pattern because you too damn comfortable being on those psychological training wheels. Well, he passed the trust test. Well, he passed the communication test. He knows I don't like to talk, and I definitely don't like to have deep conversation. Oh, so he passed all these tests. And then one day they get tired of your mess. Are you an insecurity snob? Should you get a participation award just because you gave somebody some cookie? Because you gave somebody some attention, they now on your
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with 4 things you should know from BIN News. President Trump is eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs at the State Department. Trump signed an executive order ending former President Biden's initiative to remove barriers to employment for underrepresented groups. New Jersey lawmakers want to honor the women of the 6888, the first and only battalion of women of color who served in World War II overseas. Black fans are reacting after a pair of schools are advancing to the first round of the South region in the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Alabama State and North Carolina secured victories in the first four from Dayton. Harvard University will make tuition free for Black students and other races. The school is eliminating tuition for students from families earning up to $200,000 annually. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Running out of hot water? Water Heaters Only makes replacing your water heater easy. With one call and great pricing, Water Heaters Only can have you back in hot water the same day, within hours of your call. Visit waterheatersonly.com. That's waterheatersonly.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers had a belief game last night. The kind of game where the players believe they can beat anybody when they play like they did against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Clippers beat the team with the NBA's best record, 132-119 at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. 4 straight win for the Clippers. A game-high 33 points from Kawhi Leonard. Ivica Zubac had 28 points and 20 rebounds. The stat of the night comes from Clippers guard Bogdan Bogdanovic. He was 8 for 8 from the floor, including 4 for 4 on three-pointers. He finished with 20 points and 7 assists off the bench. The Alabama State men's basketball team won an NCAA tournament game for the first time in school history. A last-second layup by Amar Knox lifted the HBCU school to a 70-68 win over St. Francis of Pennsylvania. Alabama State advances to play Auburn, the number 1 seed in the South Regional, on Friday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and for over 20 years, Parkside Economic Development Corporation has served Leimert Park and surrounding communities, empowering tomorrow's leaders and changing lives. Parkside EDC has awarded over $400,000 in college scholarships while sharing economic principles of the Big Five of money with students and their families. Parkside EDC partners with organizations like the Brotherhood Crusade to assure our youth have the financial acumen to succeed. Parkside EDC provides families and businesses with financial insights, offering free online, on-site, and on-air B-Warp presentations. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Programs helps our community acquire, sustain, and pass down legacy wealth. High school seniors can apply for this year's scholarship awards at parksideedc.org. Scholarships will be awarded at Parkside EDC's Gospel/Jazz Brunch on Sunday, April the 27th. For details, tickets, or donations, please visit parksideedc.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
First things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not 2 and 7. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tight Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580, good morning and God bless. Yes, I'm back. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First. And my very first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and let's go. Whew. Oh, I'm grateful to be here. I think I had food poisoning. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, you don't need to know all that. That's TMI, but I'm here now. So this is the way we do the show on a Wednesday. Hour 1, we look local. Hour 2, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person of interest, a hot topic, etc., etc. Today is no exception. And while there is a bit of an exception, apparently our Wealth Building Wednesday business had an accident. And so, yes, Mercury is retrograding heavily, okay? And just give yourself time. And so that person will not be joining us, so we will not have our Wealth Building Wednesday feature today. But you're welcome to call in and talk about your business if you want to. We talk about everything. Open up the phone lines, hour 2. Hour 3, we're going to be talking with Dr. Ernesto Castañeda, who is an expert on immigration. It will unpack some of what's going on with the current administration, their policies, and where we are relative to sort of an historical baseline. So that should be pretty interesting because a lot of things are going on. But I'm so excited to have back with us after his
hiatus.
Sabbatical. Yes, a sabbatical. He's been, well, you've been in the leadership realm of activism for decades, literally. You've worked on, I can't remember how many, a lot of presidential campaigns.
6. I counted them.
6
starting
presidential
in 1980,
campaigns, including Jesse Jackson.
Yep, 84 and 88.
The founder of the Fannie Lou Hamer Institute and a lead organizer for Black Lives Matter Los Angeles.
And Grassroots.
And BLM Grassroots. Yeah, you got a lot of jobs. Akili, welcome back.
Well, it's good to be back. And it's I've had a chance to reflect, to rest, reflect, and rejuvenate. And I've been in Ghana for 6 weeks. I got married.
Congratulations. I didn't know if we were announcing that on the radio or not, so I was kind of trying to tread lightly. But
No, I got married. And I'm glad to be back. It's interesting, when I was in Ghana, the people around me were asking questions about Trump, because they went through an election also, and they elected a new administration that's really trying to be very different than the last one, and they don't fully understand what's going on, and they equate Trump to their last administration, which didn't seem to be a very good administration, and so their questions are, is he going to be better, or is he better? They are majorly concerned with getting visas and immigrating because.
Yeah, well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, all of the administrations in the history of this country have been racist when it comes to immigration, right?
Yep.
It's always harder for people who are black to get visas.
Particularly with this administration.
Now it's going to be times a million.
They're from one of those S-hole countries.
Right. I mean, you see they've already put out a list of countries that people can't get a visa. And most of the people on that list are African countries. Or either they can't get or they have considerable delays. There's 3 levels of problem. One is no way, no how. One is it's going to take a minute. And the other one is, it's going to take a minute and a half. So most of those are African countries. So we know that already. And of course,
what we're hearing is that they're short-staffed.
Who's short-staffed?
The embassies are short-staffed.
Of course they are. They're firing everybody.
Yeah, so it may take longer, as they say, to process your visa.
Forever. I mean, the irony of a white South African banning South Africans from coming to the U.S., it's not lost on me. I mean, literally, South Africa is one of the countries on the no-way list. You can't get a visa because you're supposedly persecuting white people.
Yes, that was not. I used to think I was beyond being shocked.
Yeah.
I used to think, because I've lived through a lot, and I thought, well, but I got to tell you, this administration, what they are doing, and it is not only shocking to the system of what we've accustomed to, but it is vindictive also, and I don't think I've ever lived through a vindictive. Nixon came very close, if I remember correctly.
I mean, he had an enemies list,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much definitionally vindictive.
But that was the last time.
But he kept it to himself.
Yeah, and we didn't, and people didn't find out until much later that he had this enemies list and the rest. This president is openly vindictive. This president is openly saying, if you did me wrong, I'm going to do, not only am I going to do you wrong, I'm going to make your life miserable. And most of us have not lived through that. In my class, the students counted the number of presidents that I've lived through, 14. And of those 14, starting with Truman, none of them, at least were openly, with the possible exception of Nixon, were openly vindictive. This president, this administration is openly vindictive. They are going. If you're not with them, then you're against them, and they're going to take action against you.
Yeah, it's chilling. It's meant to be chilling, but it doesn't seem to be stopping the protests and the outspokenness of the people. It does seem to be putting a squash on the actions of our elected representatives outside of Maxine Waters and maybe Jasmine Crockett, maybe Ilhan Omar and Ayanna Pressley. The rest of them are pretty much cowering, I'd say, at this point.
Well, the worst part of it is that they don't seem like they know what to do. There seems
well,
to
that's
be,
what I mean. Like, come on. Well, what can they do?
Well, I think the first thing for me is to be the open, loud opposition. I mean, that's what the opposition part is about. But you don't see that. You don't feel that. You don't get that.
That's what I said. I mean, that's why I'm saying, Maxine Waters, she always does that. Jasmine Crockett, they're trying to take her out now in Texas. And, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar. Other than that, it's like pretty much crickets. But what I meant when I said, what can they do, is because I'm thinking about these images of our lawmakers knocking on the Department of Education and being stopped by one single security guard who nobody knows exactly who hired that person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the Trump administration just decides to defy the courts and do whatever they want, deport these Venezuelans and others anyway, and snatch up citizens, that or green card holders, and it seems like there's no enforcement mechanism for the Congress. They're usurping the power of the purse by firing everybody and closing down programs which Congress had already approved the money, rather than waiting till next cycle and shutting it down. They're trying to stop it. They're stopping it already. They've effectively stopped USAID. What can they do? How can Congress enforce the separation of powers, checks and balances, and their authority over the purse? How can they enforce it?
Well, first of all, all three, the two branches, the House and the Senate, are controlled by Republicans. So they are inclined to do what he wants. Not only to do what he wants, they're liable.
But Chuck Schumer didn't have to lay down like a little bee.
Well, the worst part about what Schumer did was imply and suggest in the beginning that he was going to hold the line. That
right. First, he said he was going to stand strong, and then he
caves.
Yeah. And then he caves with this argument like, oh, they're going to shut down the government. They are already shutting down the government. Yeah. What are you talking about? The pain is already real for those federal workers and for all of these scientists and aid workers around the world and the people that receive the aid. Like, that pain is already happening. So to me, that makes you seem really tone deaf. Oh, people are going to suffer. People are suffering. And now you're going along with it and trying to make a moral argument. Oh, well, we don't know when they'd open the government back up. They would have to, because otherwise they're not going to be able to enforce their agenda.
Well, and part of the other part of the argument is that they would use the shutdown and just go in and do more wholesale stuff. But the worst, once again, the worst part of it is to say that you're going to hold the line. And then when the line is there, you don't even, it doesn't even look like you put up a fight. I mean, you just caved in and you got, 8 more to go with you so you could get.
And that's the other worst part. You're supposed to be the leadership, and you're leading these people into complicity with an agenda, which is horrific. I think that guy should be replaced immediately.
Well, the fact that he postponed his book tour is an indication that he knows what he did the people will not accept it, that he will probably be protested if he shows up in public. I saw an interview with him yesterday. I think it was Gayle King or somebody that said that there's a call for him to go. His argument is that he's the best at what he does.
No.
That's his argument.
You could have made that argument 2 weeks ago, but after you said, I'm going to hold the line, like you say, and then you punked out. No, you're not the best. I think, I don't know.
That was his argument.
I don't know where none of the bodies are buried. I don't know nothing, but I know better than to cave into a madman.
Well, and and this may go beyond what most of us are. Another example that was made is one of Chamberlain. Now, this is like 1939, and the British Prime Minister of England goes and signs a deal with Hitler in 1939, and he comes back and holds up this paper and he says, we got a deal. Within 3 months, Hitler is invading Poland. And that's the kind of analogy that I've read that Schumer has become the Chamberlain of his time. He's, he caved in. The other thing that I think is disappointing and discouraging and scary is the data collection. Why? It's one thing to shut down and you're going to hold down the cost and that you use that pretext. But why do you need the names of people who are on Social Security?
Because it gives Elon Musk the forever competitive advantage over every other company that he will be going up against. He's got data is how they win. Data is how they track trends. Data is how they market to us. Data is how these tech companies thrive, survive, and profit. Now he's got a leg up on every other tech company because he's got not some data, he's got all the data, and he's got it from an original source. So it's like the platinum of data, and it's disgusting, but that's what he's doing.
Well, thank you for that, because I have been scratching my head. Why does he need this data? I thought because he's with a vindictive person, they're going to go after people who...
Well, I believe that's also true. But the mega reason, in my opinion, is profit. Because that's what... These folks are greed crazed. They're like, sloppy vampires who just can't get enough money. And money is the blood for these sloppy vampires who are trying to suck the life out of the American people. This dude is a tech baron. He's a tech robber baron. And the lifeblood for tech robber barons is data.
Okay. All right. I get it now. Because I was like...
He's feasting on your corpse.
Okay. All right.
Basically what he's
I was
doing.
Just thinking, is he going to go after, is
the
administration going to go after people?
They may.
Because in every case, they seem to be shutting down these departments or shutting down these operations or agencies and then doing data collection. And I'm thinking, why do they need the data? But now you've helped me understand that. The other thing that has been promoted and advanced is that they want to privatize these agencies, still get the government money, but it would go to private agencies.
Yeah, of course that. So if they break everything, then they can resurrect it as a privately owned entity. And from what we've seen in other countries that have done that, that will mean everything will be more expensive and less quality, less efficient.
And less accountable.
And less accountable.
That I think is the biggest thing about it, because once you privatize it, I know that I remember in 2004 after Bush was reelected, one of the first things he tried to do was privatize Social Security. That didn't go anywhere.
Well, look, here's the thing. I do believe there's a part of me, and this is kind of the little out there part of me, but there's a part of me that's like, there's parts of it I could say let it burn. I wish he would cut the military budget in half.
Oh, no,
the problem is, he says he is. The problem is they're not going to spend the money where you or I would spend it. But I do think they're overreaching wildly, and a lot of this stuff won't go through because they're doing too much too fast without enough of a smooth talking pretext for why they're doing it. Akili is back,
I used to think that.
Okay, well, we'll find out why you don't think it anymore. When we come forward, you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
A new day is on the horizon. Behind every great moment in history, there's a woman whose story went untold. This March, KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates the trailblazers who changed our world. From Rosa Parks to Constance Baker Motley, from Katherine Johnson to Kamala Harris. These are the voices that broke barriers, challenged limits, and reshaped America. Join us all month long as we honor the women who dared to dream, fight, and lead. KBLA Talk 1580, amplifying women's stories that inspire generations.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now. You know, it's funny. We were chatting about this newly married man here.
Yes.
And of course, that got us off the Ghana conversation because he just got back from Ghana. Launched us into this whole examination of the federal government. And I haven't been to Africa since June. And a lot of people were concerned, are you guys going to reelect Trump? And there was a lot of, I remember in 2016, I would run into people in Africa who thought it was a great idea that we should elect Trump and were really thinking, would argue with me. But by this year, people were very clear on who this man was and is and did not, and were very, very concerned. I didn't think we were going to, as people say, get back together with your toxic ex. But apparently that's what America has chosen to do. And certainly gives you a different perspective looking at it from the other side of the globe.
Yes. I saw his State of the Union speech. I mean, I didn't stay up for the whole thing because it was like midnight.
It was so long.
Yeah, and it was very late for
unhinged.
me. And so and because he's such a rambler.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's unhinged. He's just like blah, blah, blah. And another thing, it's like whatever he thinks of. Right. It's just stream of consciousness. It's not really a speech. It's just him getting up there and ranting.
I know, and I had a number of conversations with folks in the U.S. about the Democratic response, the fact that Al Green was ejected.
And 10 Dems voted to censure him,
yes.
Which is total BS.
Well, one of the things that I've been, I guess, more conscious of, and we mentioned it with Schumer, all these people are looking toward re-election. And if they're in states where, like Fetterman is from Pennsylvania.
Fetterman is
the guy that wears...
Fetterman is a fake progressive. He's not. How can you be a progressive and support the Trump agenda? How can you be a progressive and support the Netanyahu agenda?
Yeah.
Which he rabidly does, and now they're back to bombing.
Yes.
It's just tragedy.
And because they know now that that there's no restraint. They just can do whatever they want. They have the backing, the full-fledged backing of the United States, of the U.S. president of the United States. And so they can just pretty much do what they want. And that ceasefire was kind of put together. Well, it was Biden's ceasefire.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, in the extent that there even was a ceasefire.
Yeah, and Biden was simply trying to do anything to try to get the pressure off his administration and what was going on here, and so they were putting out anything. This administration has no commitment to that ceasefire, and if Netanyahu wants to, I
mean, it's really Netanyahu covering his own butt.
Yes,
because they dropped his next court appearance was dropped because the war is resumed and all that, and because Trump has already promised him Trump Gaza. So why do you need to bomb? They already said they're going to do ethnic cleansing. They're talking about you in the chat, in the YouTube chat. Forensic accountant says Neville Chamberlain. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that was a comparison that somebody else made. I was just reporting on it. That Schumer was compared to Chamberlain.
Mm-hmm. And then Morris Phillips says Ghana is going to join the AES, the Association of Sahel States, Alliance of Sahel States is what it is. I hadn't heard that.
Well, there was talk about it, at least through some of the people that I met there, that the new president is certainly making moves to reconnect because the last administration kind of disconnected, if you will, with a lot of the countries in the region. And so there's been talk about it. I don't know that he's going there yet, but he certainly has. That
would be interesting because Ghana is such a solid, and strong democracy. It would be a major coup for those states, for Burkina Faso and those states.
Well, Burkina Faso is offering, citizenship now to diasporans.
Yeah, I feel like, I know a number of African countries do it and they have their own criteria. I feel like there should be something like a universal diaspora passport for those of us who are fleeing the Trump administration that are black. Like black Americans fleeing this should be able to get a passport, or a universal visa to get the hell out of Dodge. Are you going to move there now? Are we losing you to Ghana?
No, I'm going to be here for a little while longer. I really do like Ghana, though. We just got to figure out how we're going to go back and forth.
Okay. A little bicontinental love.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about it that way, but yeah.
That's more than a notion. That's not a commute. That's a whole journey.
Well, it takes 21 hours to get there. Well, to get back, and it takes about 18 to get there.
You know what's crazy? If we had our own private jet, like Trump, we could go from New York City to Senegal in 8 hours.
Yeah.
And the only reason it takes so long is they make you go to Europe or you've got to go to Dubai or something.
Except what I love Delta because Delta has L.A. to New York, New York to Accra. and it's only 12 to 14 hours from New York to Accra.
Not my favorite airline, but okay, glad it worked for you. We got news, traffic, and sports, and more conversation. You're invited in 800-920-1580, KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Fredericksburg, Texas Fire and EMS is providing an update on the crab apple wildfire that's been affecting Black people in the community as well as other races. It's announced the fire is now about 90% contained. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, who is Black, says he's confident in Chuck Schumer despite the backlash over Schumer's support for a GOP spending bill. A Dominican Republic judge is ruling in favor of an American linked to the disappearance of a University of Pittsburgh student of color. Sudiska Kanaki has been missing for nearly 2 weeks after she was last seen near her hotel. Frontier Airlines is flying checked bags for free after Southwest announced the end of its more than 50-year-old policy for free bags. Black passengers and others will need to book a nonstop flight from now through August 18th. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Running out of hot water? Water Heaters Only makes replacing your water heater easy. With one call and great pricing, Water Heaters Only can have you back in hot water the same day, within hours of your call. Visit waterheatersonly.com. That's waterheatersonly.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers had a belief game last night. The kind of game where the players believe they can beat anybody when they play like they did against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Clippers beat the team with the NBA's best record, 132-119 at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. 4 straight win for the Clippers. A game-high 33 points from Kawhi Leonard. Ivica Zubac had 28 points and 20 rebounds. The stat of the night comes from Clippers guard Bogdan Bogdanovic. He was 8 for 8 from the floor, including 4 for 4 on three-pointers. He finished with 20 points and 7 assists off the bench. The Alabama State men's basketball team won an NCAA tournament game for the first time in school history. A last-second layup by Amar Knox lifted the HBCU school to a 70-68 win over St. Francis of Pennsylvania. Alabama State advances to play Auburn, the #1 seed in the South Regional, on Friday. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Eaton Canyon fire devastated many Black families in Altadena, taking more than just homes. It took memories, legacies, and generational wealth. The heart of a Black community is now in jeopardy, but Justice Coalition, led by Gage and King LA Lawyers for the People, are here to help. If you've lost your home, we are standing by to hold insurance companies and utilities accountable for the damage caused. When the community suffers, we all suffer. Together, we can rebuild what was lost. Your recovery starts today. Call 626-429-1259. That's 626-429-1259. Or visit www.eatonfirelawyers.net. Justice Coalition, Gage and King, LA Lawyers for the People. We got you. Call 626-429-1259. Visit www.eatonfirelawyers.net. Again, 626-429-1259. This is attorney advertising. Past results do not guarantee future outcomes. Legal representation is provided by licensed attorneys.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ROCK to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ROCK to 42424. That's ROCK to 42424.
Stories are power. The Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project is an effort to collect, preserve, and amplify stories of Black land loss. It will form an invaluable resource for scholars, authors, historians, educators, storytellers, policymakers, and change agents who wrestle with issues of restitution, reparations, racial inequality in home ownership, and the racial wealth gap. Through documenting stories of Black land loss, the archive will help demonstrate the magnitude of what Black families have lost and will continue the national dialogue to encourage paths to restitution, rebuilding, and healing. Support the Black Land Loss Narrative Archive Project by visiting www.blacklandloss.org or by donating at www.blacklandloss.org/donate. Spread the word to inspire awareness, activism, leadership, and change. And join us in making a lasting impact. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're talking with Akili of Black Lives Matter, BLMLA, and wow, Sunday was wonderful. You were there.
Yes, it was.
Black Women Are Divine. We talked about it a little bit on Monday with Lamika Castillo, but from a man's perspective, how did you see it?
I always love Black Women Are Divine. I think one of the things about Black Lives Matter's Grassroots and Black Lives Matter's LA, that's Melina's vision and her whole idea of really focusing on Black women and moving the concept and understanding that Black women not only are divine, but deserve this kind of highlight and focus, and connecting with Breonna Taylor's family. And so I always enjoy Black Women Are Divine. I've missed a couple of them because I was in Ghana, but I always enjoy being there. I always enjoy the focus, the highlighting, and supporting Black women.
Yeah, and by Melina, he's talking about Dr.
Melina Abdullah, yes.
Director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots. Okay, well, we probably don't have time to get into this, but I've got many a day to cover it. I think it's being wildly underreported how good the mayor's record is on public safety. Mayor Karen Bass here in Los Angeles has been under fire because of being in Ghana, and I have said all along that had she been in France at Macron swearing in or in England, it wouldn't have been an issue. They would have just put her on a plane and it wouldn't have been an issue. They're also mad at her for firing the police chief. Not sure. I mean, not the police chief. The fire chief. Yeah. But I mean, I don't.
The fire.
If you refuse to do an after action report for your boss and then you throw your boss under the bus on CNN, I don't know who expects to keep their job in that circumstance. But apparently, if you're a Black mayor, you're supposed to put up with that kind of disrespect and insurrection and just suck it up.
Yeah, and I think this phony recall, one of the things that the right has done, and because the right has money, they immediately move to that. If they disagree with you, we saw it with a few months after George Gascon got elected.
You're talking about the recall.
The recall.
Yeah.
And it's because they have access to money, they think we'll just do a recall. And so and they were looking for any pretext in the first place. So whether they're successful or not with the recall, what it does do is it sets up Caruso when he runs, and he's definitely running already. That she was recalled, so she's obviously not doing well. We need to get rid of her. So I think that's a little absurd. But they only do it. They do it against Black women.
Well, and the whole recall thing is, to me, is the side door for conservatives, Republicans in a state where they rarely can win big offices outright.
Yes.
So then they creep in the side door when no one's paying attention and super fund these recalls to get into a seat that they otherwise would not have been able to get into.
Well, and we saw it with Newsom. I mean that was.
But he won. He beat down two recall attempts.
He did. But the fact that they even did it. I think is, we saw it with George Gascon almost 2 or 3 minutes after he got elected. And I know that there's been a brewing, to get rid of Bass. Caruso is much like Trump in the sense that he can't accept that he lost to a black woman.
Look, I don't know if I could accept it either. If I spent $100 million out of my own pocket, I mean, I know it's not a lot for him, but. Anyway, well, Molly Bell says that Dr. Melina Abdullah was great in your seat. We are spoiled. Molly Bell, yes, a big thank you to Dr. Melina Abdullah in the clutch in the middle of the night. I was like, girlfriend, can you please? Because I was not well. So
well, yes. And the other thing I miss, and I'm getting accustomed to now because it's an 8-hour, 9-hour difference. So I'm trying to get back on that. So I would listen, on the internet to KBLA.
Yeah.
And I see we got a lot of new faces and expanding. So that's been a good thing.
By new faces, of course, you're talking about Dr. Cornel West, who now comes on after Tavis at noon, and then Jesse Jackson Jr.,
and is it Nina Turner too?
And Nina Turner, yes. Nina Turner is co-hosting with Cornel West.
Ah, okay. All right.
And then you have James Farr on the weekends.
So I was glad to see that. And I got a chance to listen to your show. You did Black Women Are Divine Saturday for This Is Not a Drill?
Yes, I did. I sat in on I actually sat in Dr. Melina Abdullah's seat.
Well, y'all,
yes.
She
was traveling while we swapped. I didn't plan it that way. I wasn't planning to be violently ill, but it worked out. Interesting that there's a lot of interesting conversation in the chat. Paul Lee says Biden asked Karen Bass to go to Ghana. I had heard that, but the fact is. And Jerry Anderson said it would have been a problem even if she was in Europe. I don't think it would have been at the same level, but I do think you're right, Jerry, in that Karen Bass is a black woman.
And she chaired the subcommittee on Africa when she was in Congress. And she has a lot of relationships with African leaders and stuff. And she was the chair when the president of Ghana was he was sent back. So she was chair when he was president before.
Right. But what does that have to do with the LA fire? There are phones.
Yes.
She had satellite phones. She was on a military plane. She was in contact with every one of her department heads and chiefs. So that's stupid to me.
It's a pretext.
She's not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was. They're looking. They've been looking for anything.
You want her out there with the shovel and hose? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Give me a effing break.
Yeah. Well, and I think that many of the comments was that I read that there was almost nothing anybody could do. The way that and I was seeing this from afar, so I didn't get a real sense of how. Powerful it was, how the winds and all the rest. But it didn't seem like, other than being here and being available, which is, I think, what people want. They want to see their leaders, available, and I'm here with you, and standing around in a hard hat or something.
I get that. But
for psychological reasons.
So she was there by 2 days later. But anyway, the point is, my main point is that. Why are we not reporting on this public safety victories, this huge public safety? Because you guys elected a whole Republican district attorney based on your supposed fear about the supposed violence. And, okay, so Tuesday, the LAPD said that violent crime was down in 2024. We're not surprised by that. A 45% decrease in gang-related homicides in what they call the grid zones, which is gang reduction and youth development. I'm very well familiar because I ran a program that was sort of a prototype for the Summer Night Lights. The model for that.
Yeah, I was going to say the model. Yeah,
which was called Summer of Success, which was put together by Karen Bass when she was with Community Coalition. Then Councilmember Martin Ludlow, the Dr. Bob Ross, right, from the California Endowment, and others, LA Conservation Corps and others were involved. And I was the person, on the ground that was administering the program. And so I know a bit about grid zones. And I remember when we first tried that in Baldwin Village, aka the Jungles, by our second summer, we were down to 0 homicides, which was pretty good.
And one of the things
no body bags.
Yeah, one of the things that I think that we sensationalize violence and use it as a pretext to get what we want. We did it to get Prop 36 passed. And one of the struggles that certainly I have is, on the one hand, the LAPD makes this argument that violence is down in the rest, but then they make the argument they need more money. So you can't have it both ways. And I've argued this with them. If violence is down and all this is happening, then why do you need more money? Why do we need, and my former boss, Antonio, introduced this 10,000 officers, which has now become like the standard. Why do you need 10,000 police officers if all this is down? And one of the things that I struggle with is that the perception is what guides people, not the numbers.
Okay, that's true. But part of what we have to do is help people understand that, those numbers mean
real,
something.
yeah.
They're actually bodies that don't go to the morgue. And 45% decrease in gang-related homicides, 48% reduction in the number of victims shot in gang-related conflicts. And the mayor is crediting GRID and many of our community organizations. So, that's it's not only the PD. And that's been the formula that's worked for LA since Villaraigosa was mayor, is that getting the gang intervention people involved, getting, the alternatives like GRID involved, and standing those up. And so I feel like Paul Lee's in the chat. He says it's that Biden should have. He says it's whack. Biden has yet to speak up in support for Bass. He could have easily gotten in front of the fascist media spin of the fires. Bass was asked by the then POTUS to go to Ghana, and he should have spoken up on that. You think it would have hurt her?
It could have hurt her. I mean,
I don't
maybe
know.
out here, it wouldn't have hurt her that much. And I think it could have.
And out here is where it counts, because this is where she's going to run for re-election, and this is where she'll face a recall.
Yeah, not too late if he wants to do that. That could be helpful to her. I think one of the other things that and certainly, and you all should know that Black Lives Matter's Grassroots and Black Lives is an abolitionist organization. So in our minds, whatever they do is we would do away with with the police. But she is trying. On the other hand, you have a department that is has to now look into its recruitment process because of racist and bigoted statements that were made.
Yeah.
So
there's the most unsurprising story of the year.
Yeah, I know. So on one hand, you have violence is down. On the other hand, you have recruitment
down.
Well, it's going to be down because if reading that report, and I would call for an independent investigation. I wouldn't trust the police to investigate themselves, but looking at that report that came out and the whistleblower who shared that, the first thing that came to my mind was this false notion that we got to recruit more black police. That won't make any real difference if the police are having these kind of bigoted operations or attitudes as they go into recruitment.
Absolutely, especially when the data show black cops shoot and kill black people at actually higher rates.
Yes.
800-920-1580. That's the number if you want to weigh in. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Akili's here with me, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has worksource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, so I forgot to follow up on the cliffhanger, which was I think Republicans are overreaching. I think they're making their own base angry, and the base is going to get a lot more angry as they do things like disrupt Social Security. You said no, you don't think, you used to think that the overreach was going to come back to bite them, but you don't think so now. Even given Republicans going off on Republican lawmakers in town hall meetings, even given the protests and marches that are happening around the country and across the world, you don't see the overreach being a problem for them.
No, because first of all, they're one of the key elements of fascism is you don't care about the outcomes. All you care about is staying in power. And if you can use anything to stay in power, you will. And you want to take credit for what you said you came there to do. And there's no forceful opposition. You and I were just talking. I remember when Barack Obama got elected in 2008. The first thing that the Senate, the guy that the senator from Kentucky, who ran the Senate for many years,
Boehner.
No, the senator.
I don't remember.
God. Anyway, the first thing they said was they're going to make life difficult for Barack Obama and that he is not going to have any successes. And they did that. They undermined, they undercut, they did everything they could. There's been no statement like that from the Democratic leadership. There's been no, we are not going to allow them to function. It's almost as if they're sitting on their hands wondering what to do. And I was expecting a lot more from Hakeem, I got to tell you. Because
what can he do? I mean, make a statement like the one you're talking about.
Or say that we are not
You're talking about Bill Frist?
No. God.
Because
he was Senate Majority Leader. He was Senate Majority Leader for all of He sat on Merrick Garland's.
Because when Obama was first elected, it was Harry Reid.
Yes, he was. Yeah, but then within 2 years, the Senate changed.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
okay,
it'll
come back to us.
But the Republicans issued statements. They did demonstrations. They did a number of things that sent a message to the public that they are not going, to their public anyway, to their base, that they are not going to allow Barack Obama to be successful. They're going to undermine, they're going to stall, they're going to do whatever they can. I don't see that happening. And because there's no real forceful opposition, then there's no guardrails. And I think that they're going to do whatever they want. This continued rule by executive order. The courts are not going. The Supreme Court. I think the court system will ultimately push back. But once it gets to the Supreme Court, they're going to roll over.
Well, yeah, the court system also can be ignored. We find out, because that's pretty much, for the most part, that's what the Trump administration is doing right now. They're ignoring the court system. The court system, they've already said the USAID cuts are probably unconstitutional.
The birther stuff is clearly unconstitutional.
Right. You're talking about the
birthright. Yeah.
Right. Birthright citizenship. Yeah. But they're not changing their approach just because of the courts. I do think you're right that there should be a forceful opposition. I feel like Republicans should not get one Democratic vote on one single thing, anything.
Anytime.
Not a censure, not a doggone measure to stop the government shutdown. Nothing. There should not be a Democratic vote on one of those ridiculous Looney Tunes cabinet members. The Republicans need to own the mess they are creating fully. And to me, that's the most basic step. Now, would you blame that on Hakeem Jeffries, that he's not able to whip his own party, or is he not even trying?
Well, I'm not blaming him. I am disappointed, but I'm not blaming him. I am willing to accept that I don't think they have a strategy at this point. And that Democrats don't seem to. We are not a vindictive kind of people. We are not we're gonna kick your butt and get out of here. Republicans, they'll eat their own if they want. If you disagree with them, and you've seen that from the Tea Party phase in early 2008 to now. I
mean, the MAGA is really the Tea Party, right?
Yeah, it is. But there's the concept of primarying you as a member of Congress has gotten the Republicans in line. If you don't agree with Trump, if you don't agree with what's happening, you are going to be primaried. You're going to spend raise and have to spend a lot of money. And so rather than do that, then you go along to get along. The Democrats have not. There's no punishment for going along. So yes, the 8 that voted for this continuing resolution, there's no consequence for them. They're not going to be primaried in the Democratic primary.
It doesn't make sense because Jeffries studied under Pelosi. Pelosi was one of the most effective speakers we had. It doesn't make sense. Akili, we only have a minute and a half.
Ooh, what a shame! I
always there's a protest today. Right?
There's every Wednesday.
I know they were waiting for that. They were waiting for that.
At 4:00, the In Police Association. We've been doing it now for 215 weeks. One of the things that we targeted the police associations because they are the people who protect killer cops. They are the people who resist any and every form of accountability. But more importantly, we are still protesting police violence. And the police associations are the people who support folks that do that. So that's every Wednesday at 4:00 at 1313 West 8th Street. And we've been doing it. And we are building a coalition to talk about what else can be done to hold the police accountable, demand more transparency, and more importantly, deal with the police association. So that there's a coalition meeting generally afterwards at 6:00. So please join us at 1313 West 8th Street. every Wednesday for 213 Wednesdays.
Wow, it's a lot of Wednesdays.
It is. And one of the things that I'm glad that we do is keep count, because too often what happens is, we have a press conference or a rally, and people say, well, what happened? We can say that for 213 Wednesdays, we have continued this protest. We have continued to block the street off. We have continued to make this issue, ending police associations, and more importantly, providing space, comfort, and support for families to be able to come out and share what's going on and how they've been treated by the police. So please join us. It's every Wednesday, and we'll be there today at 1313 West A Street.
Akili, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's so good to be back.
Welcome back.
Yes,
congratulations.
It's good to be back, and I'm looking forward to continuing and listening and adding my input over, on these issues.
Absolutely. We've got news, traffic, and sports right now. Then it is the perfect time for you to call me at 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Alexandria Ikamoni with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Fredericksburg, Texas Fire and EMS is providing an update on the crabapple wildfire that's been affecting Black people in the community as well as other races. It's announced the fire is now about 90% contained. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, who is Black, says he's confident in Chuck Schumer despite the backlash over Schumer's support for a GOP speaker. Sudiska Kanaki has been missing for nearly 2 weeks after she was last seen near her hotel. Frontier Airlines is flying checked bags for free